like you had before, that would be great.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. It is officially on my computer anyway, 10:04. Welcome to the Friday, March 11 monthly session of the St. Louis County Human Relations Commission. My name is Karen Oresti. I chair. Let us first go through the roll call in no particular order. Commissioner Fan.
Present.
Commissioner James.
Present.
Commissioner Pellegrini.
Present.
Commissioner DeBeer. Commissioner DeBeer, are you there?
Present, sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Vice Chair Hall.
Present.
And received last night an email from Secretary Commissioner Ahmad. She cannot join us this morning. She is out of town. But we do have a quorum. So let's continue. Just to introduce also, we are joined this morning by representatives from the St. Louis County Counselor's Office, attorneys Portia Britt and of course Jen Frank from the, Commissioner Johnson. Are you here today? Great. Hi, Cindy. How are you? I didn't see you there. Thank you. We are joined by Jay Nelson from the liaison for boards and commissions and from the County Executive's Office, and also Izzy Merzhezevsky. Did I do better, Iz? Also from the County Executive's Office, and Kenny Murdoch, the Acting Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and from that office, Ms. Theodore Person. And I think I've pretty much covered everybody who is in panelist mode. So thank you all for joining. The first thing we need to do, if I may, is approve the minutes from our meeting. We have two from Friday, February 11. May I have a motion to approve the Friday, February 11 minutes?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Anybody have anything they need to say about that? Hearing nothing. The minutes for February 11 are approved. Same, please, a motion to approve the minutes from February 25, the special meeting on February 25.
So motioned.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions about that? Hearing nothing. Oh, well, actually, so let me do this. Can I have a general vote to approve then both the minutes from Friday, February 11 and Friday, February 25? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, those minutes are both formally approved. Thank you, everybody. In the communications piece today is an article from this week from the Post-Dispatch about the vandalism of the Black History mural in December of last year. And I want to thank Commissioner Fan for raising this. We actually had talked about it last Friday at a meeting of the U.S. Attorney's Hate Crimes Task Force for Eastern Missouri and Southern Illinois, because there hadn't been sort of any formal sharing of the results of an investigation. There had been sort of bits and pieces coming out. I can say, and this is slightly sideways, but just for your information, that University City Police Chief Larry Hampton shared for the group that as a result of this event, there had been an intensified joint operations between the Washington University campus police, U City Police, and St. Louis City Police to deal with a lot of the issues that have been happening on campus and in and around. And he said that he was seeing a positive result. That said, I have to kind of eat my words. For many years, I would say, professional white supremacists don't do graffiti. They do other things in order to attack targets, and this one proved me wrong. I don't know if anybody has experience on this particular investigation or thoughts about it. Happy to hear what folks think.
I'm concerned that the media hasn't been reporting this as part of a nationwide coordinated Patriot Front action. Also, I think it's one thing for a police representative to say they feel that they've been getting good traction. I am curious because the WashU students are also residents of the county and the city, what their perspective about all of this is and would be. And it was only half my lifetime ago that I was a college student, and there's always um, tensions that arise on campus. So, yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else have any thoughts or comments on this? Is there something specific, Commissioner Fan and or any of the other commissioners that you would like to see this commission doing in response to raise some of the concerns that Commissioner Fan has shared with us this morning?
I guess since we are here to advise county council, uh, can we just, from the counselor's office or from the county exec's office, can someone refresh what, if anything, the county council has done on this? I know, I know that Bell, our county DA, is prosecuting, but I'm curious to see what county council is doing. And I think, you know, sometimes the students feel neglected or ignored as residents and taxpayers and voters of the county.
Do we need to entertain a motion to formally make a recommendation or just lift this up for the county councilors, for the county council? Jen or Portia?
Well, all I can say, I don't have any information about whether or not the council has done anything. I'm sorry, I don't have any information about that.
Okay. Is there a process to sort of ask them to take formal notice?
So you could do what the commission has done in the past. The commission can send correspondence to the council and the county executive urging action, or however the commission wanted to go about doing so. But yes, you could send communications to the council and the county executive on this particular issue.
Okay, so help me out here, members of the commission. If we were to urge some sort of action, what would you like to see the council do?
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm also again concerned about kind of the whitewashing of this narrative by the media, right? It's not like, one, he's one of four individuals who engaged in this. And again, right, this plus the attacks on the BCUs were part of coordinated national efforts, which I think um, some of that is getting lost in the narrative.
Well, I'd love to hear from members of the commission. If you're going to stay silent, I will feel uncomfortable at this stage of the game going forward without a input from you. I'd like to hear what you think.
I think that it's, hey, everyone, good morning. It's Jeanette Hall.
Good morning.
So this is interesting. Yes, while us being in the Human Relations Commission, this does fall within our purview to be able to serve in an advisory capacity to the county executive and also to the county members. However, what also should be noted is that we have several people on this call as well too who are a part of, his administration or a part of the council as well, whether it be from the county councilor's office or whomever. We have a number of different people. And so if we already have people in place, whether they be from the diversity and inclusion unit, because this definitely sounds like something that will fall within their purview of speaking up. And this matter has been something that's been put in the news several months ago. Yes, it does fall upon us to serve in the advisory capacity to give you all the information. And then even now you, Karen, serving as the director of administration. And then with Ms. Franklin here, whomever, well, Ms. Frank is a little bit different, I think. But yes, we can say, hey, some things need to be changed. But I think from us as commissioners, I'll speak for myself as a commissioner and also a resident and an employee of St. Louis County government, we've been in a space similar before. Where we have seen hate crimes happen, whether they be against Asian Americans, Black Americans, whomever, and we have seen the needle move very little when it comes from the administrative office. So I think it is a good question, or it's a valuable question to ask the commissioners, what is it that we can do? And if we stay silent, then it may not be good. However, the bigger question and the bigger burden falls on those who are in this administration. And if they are seemingly remaining silent, then what do we do after that? The people who actually have the power to do something. And I know you're still very new in your role, Chairwoman Aristide, but the people who actually have the power to do something and do something very quickly, and not us from an advisory capacity, what have you all done?
Well, I'll just answer for myself. Oh, go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry. Go first.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts I had is, can we write a letter to the county council calling on them to recognize and admonish the event? And second to that, I don't know if this would be appropriate, but could we release just a press release saying that our commission definitely admonishes what happened, and I don't know, maybe call on the media.
I support both of those ideas. Does anybody have any follow up on that? Oh, look, I'll come from my hate crime head, which I spend a lot of time in, frankly. Nobody acknowledges hate crime the way it needs to be acknowledged. In many ways, regardless of who the targeted community is. And the challenge with it is, what do you do after? And how do you always end up in a reactive space? I hear very much what Vice Chair Hall says about what do you then do. I think in these kinds of instances, the layers of community response are pretty complex. I haven't spent a lot of time on WashU's campus lately. I do think there was a lot of internal follow-up and certainly concern raised in the moment. But that's always the challenge with this kind of issue. In the moment is one thing, and 3-4 months after an investigation is complete is another, and 6 months after that, what does it look like structurally is the most effective thing to do? And maybe that'll depend on how we watch a prosecution come from this, because that would be the next layer of potential action. I think the letter to the council, half the time I think awareness is the biggest piece. Just simply putting people in the position to understand the nature of hate crime, how it impacts the community, how it reverberates beyond, and even just understanding that. What are the limitations of prosecutions? What are the limitations of prevention? All that's legitimately on the table. I don't know. Anybody
I
else?
would say if we're sending a press release or if we're having any communication publicly, then we just share how this event and events like these basically continue to, I guess, lead to trauma in our community. So as a commission, we're here to basically provide services, opportunities, and a platform for trauma to basically stop. And what are we doing to basically do that? And so I don't want us just to put out a press release saying, oh yeah, we abolished this act, understanding that yes, we do. But then we basically do say that this commission is here to support communities that are dealing with this act. And then we basically link them to the I guess, the services that are in the St. Louis County area, St. Louis City as necessary, that are doing the day-to-day operations to basically prevent these acts from continuing to exist in our county.
I
Yeah,
like that. And I
me
think
too.
we should also include the the threats to Harris Stowe in whatever and I think that you're right that we part of our role is to connect folks with trauma-informed services. I think that that's perfectly, yeah, you got it.
And actually, Dwayne, very much appreciate that language, continuing trauma on a community. That is so often just not acknowledged enough. So I think that needs to be lifted up. Anybody else want to add to that? Some things that should be in the mix?
Mr. Murdoch from the Diversity and Equity Inclusion, can you advise us if your office has had any work or done anything with a number of the different hate crimes that have occurred within St. Louis County? We've been here before in the past with the cemetery in University City that was damaged. We've known of the graffiti to occur at WashU. What we do know is that we have a white male who is still in an extremist group that's teaching in a police academy. We've had a number of different things happen over the years. Or I'm sorry, even over the past year in St. Louis County. So is there anything that your office has done differently?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, I will speak to the scenario of WashU. We did give some time for law enforcement to do their work, but we did reach out to the Social Justice Center at Washington University to talk to the students, and we're seeking to have more meetings with them on how we, do trauma-informed services. There's a lot of moving parts of that because you have to work with both WashU and other areas of government. But yes, we did reach out and we are talking to the community, but we have to take, slow steps to observe everybody as they go through different processes, because part of this is their campus investigation and then what campus activity and groups do and stuff like that. And I'm familiar with WashU. As far as the cemetery and stuff, that was before I was here, and I'm
And
not sure about all that.
I'll just weigh in just to make sure the record is correct. The cemetery desecration was not a hate crime.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
It was decidedly not a hate crime.
Okay. Well, I didn't know about the cemetery, so I
A
can
lot of people don't, but
Yeah.
it's not.
One thing I guess I would say, having sat on last Friday's U.S. Attorney General's Anti-Hate Crimes Task Force meeting, is it was very helpful for the U.S. Attorney's Office to lay out what the requirements are for something to be charged as a hate crime. I personally learned a lot. There's unfortunately 3 different elements that have to be met, including something about interstate commerce, which I never knew. Um, and so I think part of this, right, is we're all always learning. Um, and I also, until some other folks joined our commission, I think I was the youngest person on this commission. And so I feel like also because I work with students, right? So I'm trying to uplift some of their perspectives. And I also want to acknowledge that, SLU, WashU have a lot of internal siloed processes. Um, but yeah, I, I feel odd being 40 and providing a quote unquote youth perspective. So, I don't know if maybe this isn't the right portion of it to talk about what commissioners we have in the pipeline. Like, can we get a youth perspective? Should we, like, maybe this is a conversation for the, uh, that we should tie to the Business Advisory Council nomination. I don't know if we want to designate someone from the Youth Advisory Council to be on our commission, or if there are folks who, because apparently like 40 youth nominated for the Youth Commission. If like out of, the folks who weren't chosen, it would be great. Because one of the things I feel like we talk a lot about here is what's going on even in K through 12, right? So, um, You know, it's one thing to talk about it as a parent. I think it's another thing to talk about it as someone who's actually a high school student or a college or a grad student. Um, and I think also to the kind of institutional memory and history, it would be good. And I know we have a lot of new commissioners, right? If we can get someone um, maybe who was previously a commissioner to come and talk about some of the stuff they've done in the past. Like, I don't personally know what the commission has done prior to when I joined, which was, I think, roughly 2.5 years ago. And I think, um, you know, some of that history would be helpful to inform, you know, what we want to do going forward, because we're not operating in a vacuum, right? So many thoughts this morning.
I mean, let me just follow up on the youth part first. I know that we had reached out to some folks who are even younger than you, Commissioner Fan, and to seek applications. I don't know the status of those applications. Jay, would I be correct to say they are in the pipeline?
That is correct. The two individuals that are currently being looked at, they have to check with their employers to make sure that they can take the position. So we are currently at phase at this moment. But I
Okay.
also do agree with Commissioner Fan because there is a youth advisory council that I think could be of great service and a great voice as well to the HRC.
You know, and this, is there anything preventing us from, I mean, the timing is an issue and their schedules and our schedules, but is there anything preventing us from having a joint meeting? To
No,
kind
ma'am.
of,
It would just be as simple as us connecting with the Youth Advisory Council and setting up a time to have a joint meeting.
okay. And that might be interesting to just hear what they have to say about things like this and have their voice at our table. I'd be all for that. So let's investigate that and move forward on that. On the Um, and I just blanked on the other, oh, the history of the, look, I mean, I'll be candid, since I was involved for a long time, we didn't really, the tasks of this commission were almost next to nothing. My understanding is even before I got involved, a lot of the rhythm of this group changed when the state of Missouri passed in 1988 its original hate crime statute, which was then amended in 99, because at the time, a lot of local cities, counties, municipalities had their own human relations commissions or human affairs groups. I mean, they called them different things. And there were these ethnic intimidation statutes, they were sort of holistically called. And people who made complaints in advance of the change in the state law used to go much more locally, it seemed to me, to deal with things. That was also a time when police departments really weren't talking. I mean, the whole hate crime world didn't come to be in terms of formal legislative policy and education thinking, stuff like that, until the late 1980s. And education about it certainly didn't get um, as effective as it could be until well into the 90s. And I think you saw that shift, especially in 1999 with the killing of James Byrd in Jasper, Texas, and Matthew Shepard in Laramie, Wyoming. Those two incidents were catalyzing for this country in kicking up awareness and understanding of hate crime in general and how insidious it can be. So it's not like there's a whole lot of history on which some of these events and policy challenges even had an opportunity to come before the Human Relations Commission. And I think when things did happen, it was a table where people were invited to talk, to meet each other. And if there's a lot of dissatisfaction over that, I would push back on that, because the reality of meeting people you don't know, learning a bit about them, coming to understand who they are and what they do in community, that has enormous value in my mind to how community relations then starts at the neighborhood level and reverberates up. And if that's all the commission did for 20 years before we really started getting active, as you say, Caroline, when you came in a couple of years ago and started getting significant support from the county executive's office and county institutions to actually look at some of these issues, I'd say that was reasonable in terms of the structure then. But I'm not going to make up that we did anything great and glorious other than just getting to know people, which maybe that's great and glorious. I'd be happy with that myself. So I think we have an opportunity to move forward, and define a different rhythm and to respond to incidents differently. And I'll be all happy for y'all to jump in with both feet and say, hey, we're not doing this, we need to be doing this. Maybe this is a good segue, if it's okay with y'all, to move to new business and raise the issues that Vice Chair Hall wants to bring to the table. So maybe this is appropriate time, Commissioner Hall, for you to have the floor.
Before we go to that, I just wanted to, because I know that I asked with Mr. Murdoch, now that you are in the Director of Administrative role, and then you also came from having a role in the Hate Crimes Task Force, do you know of anything that this county administration either has been doing to address hate crimes or will do in the future? Can you advise on that?
I'm sorry, was that for me or for Mr. Murdoch?
No, for you. I was saying now that you are in the Director of Administration, now that you have that role, and so you work with the County Executive Office, and then also having the very important leadership role from handling or dealing with the Hate Crimes Task Force, can you advise if you know of anything that has been done in the past with this administration to address hate crimes, or do you know of anything going forward that will change in with the county's administration addressing hate crimes in the future?
The only thing I can share that I know, and it was before I took this role in administration, was last spring, there was an additional hate crime ordinance passed by the county council. I don't have my dates great, so we can look it up after. And I think that was a direct response to advocacy on the part of the Asian American Pacific Islander community and the string of hate crimes that we commented on from our perspective last spring. We can get the citations for that. I don't have them right off the bat, but there were two, at least one, maybe two places in the county ordinances where additional statements and protections on hate crime were included. So I can share that.
That's fine. That's actually good to know that something is happening.
Yeah,
I mean, look, those conversations, but it's also extremely important to know that those in power, to include yourself now, like we were saying, Mr. Murdoch, or even Miss Britt that is on here. I hope I said her last name right, Portia. I'm sorry. I hope it was Britt, but more so in leadership roles and executive roles of people who have the ability to actually change something in very little time before it starts with conversation on the end. Not saying that conversation should not be included from different commissions, but it's good to know when things go from actually talking into action steps at that point. And so to know that St. Louis County is a very diverse role. Every commission meeting we hear even Commissioner Fan talking about inclusivity efforts from members from the Asian community. And so she has been talking about this and been an advocate for a very long time. However, if nothing is not being structurally done, organizationally done from the administrative, from those in administrative roles, then what needs to change going forward? That's my concern.
Right. So let me throw that back on you, kind of, because I hear you. What in terms of the concerns you've raised on this commission and structurally relative to what you understand about the county, given your history as a county staffer and a county police department staffer, what do you think? So what can you share? Because we're listening.
What is it that you were like? I don't want you to ask or answer a question with a question. What I'm getting at is, I'm from a resident. I'm just asking: has there been anything that has been done or anything that has been changed? And it's not an attack on you. I don't want you to get defensive or anything. But I'm asking as a resident, as someone that is paying here, what structurally has changed in the past? I think that's a very valid question that can either be met with we've changed this or we haven't changed this. That's what that is. Now, as far as going forward and offering more advice, of course we can continue to do that as we have been doing it, Commissioner. But my question is, it was posed towards those who are in the administrative roles. Hey, can you advise me of some things that I have not known of that is done in the past, or some things that will be done in the future? It wasn't for it to be meant as a pushback. Well, what are you doing? We see we're on a mission, right? Thank you.
Understood, not a question. I would just say, I'm gonna continue my work on an individual level as a member of the broader community with the U.S. Attorney's Hate Crimes Task Force. That'll just be a community table I sit at. Am I gonna be hard pressed not to share some of that with this group? It's gonna be hard for me not to do that, and I think Commissioner Fan, and by the way, you're all officially invited to sit at that table.
I was
That's
just
not
gonna say, it's always been an open table,
perfect.
and it's been a very unique space because during Ferguson, I think there were very few spaces where law enforcement and activists could come together, and it wasn't always a harmonious space, but that having that space was very vital. Um, I also, and I think this line of conversation is also important, but I don't want to lose the thread of do we need to take a vote to meet with the youth commission?
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I just on a procedural
No, no,
purely.
that's fine. Do we need that, Jay, as a structural issue?
I will look into that and get back with the
Okay,
commission answer.
because
Okay.
I don't know the answer,
Because
but
I
yeah,
think
if
that would be
necessary.
super is to meet with the youth commission, and if there are other commissions that we should also interface with, like the disabilities commission, because I think, you know, kind of maybe to Shanette, to this line of conversation, there is not necessarily intentionally a siloing, but there's work that's being done. We don't always know about it. And the more that we can all be in communication and community with each other, I think more the easier it is to align all of our efforts going forward.
Yeah, the community piece, sorry, the communications piece always needs improvement. Yeah, Jay.
I will also add that the Youth Advisory Council has also submitted their annual report around the same time as the Human Relations Commission and did, and I'll be happy to share that information with the commission as well as it is public.
Great, thanks very much. Yeah, and anybody else?
May I share something to what Commissioner
Yeah.
Hall, I think, was talking about? And I would like to invite Stephanie Lewis, the new Chief Transformation Officer, to come speak to the HRC, but I have not yet talked to her. But so let me ask her when she can meet with HRC and come back, because she will be the leader of some of the community facing. So when you're talking about how we deal with certain inequities and things in the community, she's going to be taking the lead on a lot of that. And maybe she could help share kind of the vision. And she is a new hire, so that is another step towards touching the community in a better way, which I think is what kind of Commissioner Hart was asking about. But I will reach out to her if this is what the commission wants.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I think one thing that I saw change, which came out of meetings that, um, you know, leaders of various ethnic and new American communities had with Dr. Page, which is separate from this group, right? Is that I think that, you know, I think that some of the language access pieces are better and the translation pieces are better. I think there's definitely still room for improvement, uh, but I think that some small steps have been made in that direction.
Agreed. And by the way, you jogged me into remembering. So today is 311 National Call Center Day. And the language access issue for the St. Louis County Call Center is a priority on the list of things. They've just literally hired a new manager. She's been on the job a week. But she and I have already talked about what we are going to do to ramp that up. So just know that in the sort of the gray area in between this group and specific responsibilities that people have in the counties and things that will be raised here that will have an impact beyond structurally, that's one of them, big time. Again, Commissioner Hall, you have the floor.
Thank you. So as we know, for the past couple of meetings, I've tried to addressed some different things of when stating I had some concerns about some business related to the HRC. I sent out an email about a month and a half ago now. And at the time, the only response that I got back was one from Ms. Frank indicating that we wanted to make sure that we didn't have any potential sunshine law violations. And so in stating that in the past meeting that we had, or the last regular meeting that we had, I was inquiring how it is that I should then relay this information to you all. Would you like me to read the email, do whatever? And so to make sure that everything is I guess, out on the line, I wanted to just rather read the email so it would be no potential for a sunshine law violation in the end, or have nothing come back and bite me in the butt, because we usually will have folks try to come back when they disagree with you and try to bite you in the butt for any small thing that can happen. So if you grant me a little grace, I'll just go ahead and read this email. Like I said, I sent it to all of you all, and but I'll just bring it up again because I can't remember if we had the new commissioner's email on there. So I told everybody, I hope this finds you well, or this email finds you well in good spirits. But I wanted to take some time out to express some concerns that I had with the business of the Human Relations Commission. And as you may know, one of the topics we discussed over the past couple months has been over the Whistleblower Bill. For those commissioners who may not know, a statement was made in March 2021 Human Relations Commission meeting expressing a desire to update our current county ordinance relating to whistleblower protections. It wasn't until months later that Chairwoman Days was able to produce a bill doing such. During the month of October, I responded then to a St. Louis County Committee of the Whole meeting, which I was invited to, but that was at a request that was requested by St. Louis County Councilwoman Clancy, the Committee of the Whole was, and it was requested to discuss the bill. So for clarification, it should be noted with you all as well that I wear many hats in my leadership roles in the community. And this includes being a police officer, which many of you know, being a board member of a minority police association as well, a resident, and then of course, a commissioner on this commission. So my speaking had nothing to do during that committee of the whole with any one of those specific titles, but just me speaking in general. So during this meeting, Councilwoman Clancy stated that there was strong opposition by Commissioner Aristide at the time, that was on the Human Relations Commission meeting, as obviously towards the bill. And so as you would imagine, this was highly confusing given the fact that our discussion as a commission involving the bill did not occur until November, which was after this committee as a whole. I informed Councilwoman Clancy then at that time I had not heard of any news from Chairwoman Aristide, and that we as a commission did not have a discussion regarding this bill as of yet. After the committee meeting, I contacted Chairwoman Aristide seeking clarification on what was said to the council, specifically Councilwoman Clancy, as a formal opinion from the Human Relations Commission about the whistleblower bill. I did not receive a clear answer at that time. I then suggested that there was confusion about the bill, and that it would be if there was confusion about the bill, it would be most appropriate to contact the Chairwoman Days, who was the one who actually wrote the bill, and if not, at least contact the one who sponsored it. My next huge concern arose when the county executive, Sam Page, vetoed the bill on November 9th, only a few short days after our November 5th meeting. The concern came about because the language that was used within the letter, the county executive then referenced our discussion over the whistleblower bill, stating that there was a majority skepticism towards the bill because of one person's particular situation. I was confused how such an act could occur at this time when we as a commission never gave a formal opinion, to my knowledge anyway, about this particular bill. I also asked Chairwoman Aristide at that time about this, at which time I was still unclear on a lot of the responses that I got from the chairwoman. It wasn't until recently that I received some clarification from Chairwoman Aristide stating that she never gave an official statement on behalf of the commission regarding the bill. This was a slight relief knowing that decisions were not being made on behalf of all without actually including all. However, it was still disheartening to know that the commission was and is being used by council members and the county executive for some unknown agenda. It was my strong opinion that if our goal as the commission is to work in the best interest of all people, we must do so with practicing transparency and displaying high integrity. Chairwoman Aristide, is also my ask of you as well as the chair to protect the commission when you see that we are made notified of an unexplained acts by the council and the county executive. And so I just wanted to end with saying, let us not forget that it is noted in the charter that we are to act in an advisory capacity with the county executive and the council members, and not the other way around. And so my purpose, I know that sounded a little lengthy, but my purpose in reading that, like I said, was I wanted to make sure that nothing was violated, and what it was that was sent via email was also said during public record at this time, so those who come back can also listen to it. And then two, I wanted to make sure that we heard and we align ourselves and make sure that going into 2022 that we are doing what it is that A, we believe in our hearts to be right, but then also B, to do the things that it is stated that we are allowed to do within the charter. And so those are things that making sure that's mentioned in that letter and stating that, hey, we are the ones to serve as the advisory capacity and in the advisory capacity towards the county executive and the council members about interracial or interrelation interpersonal relations between county council or county residents. I'm sorry, I got a little tongue-tied in saying that. But there's so many things that's within the charter that we have the ability to do, and maybe we need to serve as a refresher saying, hey, we have the ability to do A, B, C, D, and E. And when we are noticing mishaps that are occurring within our county government, within our county administration, whomever, between those people who are the decision makers that will decide what will be best for county residents, I think it's very important for us to call out these things and practice this transparency in going forward. And so to go from a little bit of a, hey, just reading what was on this email to a personal standpoint, this commission has been quite difficult for me. And I don't know if it's because I've been paying attention a little too much or not paying attention enough, if that makes sense. And so in staying aligned with what it is that we're trying to do and seeing these letters where our names is being used, and I'm asking our chairwoman, and sometimes some of these things are not brought in the commission, I'm getting kind of confused. And even coming from a Black woman standpoint, it's very hard for us, meaning Black women, to come forward and point out the inaccuracies or to point out the deceptions or to point out the things that are happening and wrong, and then being pushed back as being labeled as the Black woman who has an attitude by different people, or the one that's being difficult to work with. That's very, very, very hard. And that is something that's been struggled with. And I see it amongst a number of different Black women in St. Louis County, whether it be the Chairwoman Days at some point, whether it even be myself and receiving that from other people that work for the county executive, whether it be from people on this commission, whatever. I've been in that role several times, and it's not a good feeling. So I wanted to express those concerns, so you all know about those. And then I wanted to make sure that going forward as a commission, especially since we have new commission members, that we are all clear, as is stated in the charter, the things that we can do, and we should begin to stay focused on those things and actually put some actionable items into place in going into 2022. We've heard time and time again from Chairwoman Aristide that over the years, the commission has done very little. We have a great group of people that are on this commission now, and it would be amazing if we can do the things that are listed in there, to include holding the hearings, to include requesting people be subpoenaed to come forward and give their account of the number of the things that are happening in St. Louis County government. So I wanted to share that, and I don't want to take up too much more of you all's time because I know we're at 10:47. So thank you, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well. Thanks for reading the email and your additional thoughts. Heard. Does anybody from their lens, other members of the commission, have thoughts or responses for Vice Chair Hall?
I would just say, as a new council, a new commissioner, it's just disheartening to hear that Commissioner Hall has received that type of feedback, and has in those. I'm struggling with words because it's just disheartening in a space where we're trying to continue to work and get together and do what's best for the entire county. And that's the type of feelings that are expressed by Commissioner Hall is disheartening. So I just want to see whatever we can do to ensure that commissioners' thoughts, feelings, wishes, wants, emotions, cares are basically taken care of and not basically pushed off month to month, day to day, year to year, because that's the type of things that I believe that we are trying to address from a county standpoint. If we can't address that from a commissioner standpoint and from a commission standpoint, then it's just disheartening and upsetting. And so whatever we can do to basically address those concerns, ensure that we are being inclusive to everyone's voices, wishes, and wants, and make sure that that is something that we consider to address, take care of, and remedy at each meeting if necessary, or at each point in time if necessary, I think is only going to benefit us as a commission, but then also benefit us as a county. And so if we need to basically start with the next meeting just to make sure that we do address what is our mission, what is our vision, what is the goals, what is in our purview as was expressed, and then ensuring that whatever we can do to make sure that all of us feel included, and it's not a us versus them, especially on the council. We just need to work that out. So hopefully my emotions are being expressed, but I'm just upset and sad to hear that. I read it, but then it's also the emotion that came with it as well. It's just impacted me a little bit more. So.
Thank you. I really appreciate even your words, and ultimately what it is about is making sure that we are doing what is in the best interest of over 1 million people that are in St. Louis County, right? We all have to make sure that we take our service roles very important. But I do appreciate you for saying that, Commissioner James, for sure. It was felt. I definitely appreciate that. But we have to, even as a commissioner, yes, we may not be in councilwoman seats, or council seats, or in county executive seats, or what have you. But we all have to make sure that we are serving people. And as long as we are doing that to the best of our ability without any selfishness and more selflessness, then that is what the ultimate goal should be at the end of the day. But thank you, Commissioner James. I really appreciate your words.
Commissioner Hall, I did read your email, and I'm sorry that I did not respond either, to you personally or over email. I was remiss in that. I think I didn't respond over email because I wasn't sure what, the sunshine whatevers are, but that doesn't excuse me not reaching out to you personally. And I think that, all of us wear a lot of hats, right? And as I've said before, I'm never going to ask someone to recuse or whatever. And I think there might be instances, where things come up before this commission where I might feel like I need to recuse. I I feel for the position that you're in, and I'm sorry that we are that you that you're kind of having to relive and rehash the trauma. Um, and I think when the first responder came and spoke to us, I also was rather shocked, right? And um, I think, you know, now I have a better sense of what this commission can do and be, but also, to be honest, right, I've been told that we may have a subpoena power. I'm not entirely clear. Um, I think it would help if like the attorneys on this call, want to give us a refresher or whatever, or Jay wants to give us a refresher on what the roles and responsibilities and capabilities of this commission are. But I I'm sorry, and on my part, right, I will do better.
Thank you, Karen. And just to kind of be clear, it wasn't more of like a, hey, I'm mad nobody responded to my email. I know you all got it. But it was one of those things like, hey, the public needs to hear it as well, too. Like we have to be, everybody has room for accountability. Everybody. even us on this call, like everybody. And so I just want to make sure that we are always practicing that, because like I said before, ultimately we are here because of the 1 million plus residents in St. Louis County. And you do an amazing job speaking up for a group of people who are not often spoke up for. And that's what we always have to remember at the end of the day. So thank you.
I'm putting in the chat, thank you, just FYI, it's not going all in, I may have to cut and paste. Just so you can see the initial charter, and you can go to the St. Louis County website under boards and commissions, and in 714.020 and see the language very specifically, and we can also put it on the agenda for next month and talk about it uniquely at that time. But
I want to read it because remember in the chat, when you put something in the chat, it's not necessarily sunshined.
All right, well, so let me,
Yes, please
I
refrain
can't, reading
from
the whole
using the
thing,
chat.
I mean, I can do that, but what I was thinking more was to ask the commissioners to go to the St. Louis County website, boards and commissions, you'll see the entire, it's not very long. And it hasn't actually, you know what? It hasn't been changed from what it should be. The language is still the same, even though the ordinances have been passed the language was out of date, and also the legal guidelines were out of date. Who is responsible for that? Making sure
That would be me. We're working on getting those updates done. As you know, the county executive just signed that piece of legislation, so we are working.
Okay, all right. So let me not worry about the chat then. Never mind. But the language needs to be shared, and we'll share it. We'll talk about it next month specifically.
So I have read it, right? I read it before I applied, and I guess, I should read the new language, but I
Yeah.
am still, and if I've been on the commission for 2.5 or however many years, and if I'm still confused about whether or not we have subpoena power, and again, I am not an attorney, right? But I'm able to read documents. I cannot.
Let me just say, apologies for interrupting, but I will just say,
Okay.
because I don't think this language actually changed. But it says, in addition to its advisory capacity, in order to accomplish the objectives set forth herein, the commission shall have the power and duty to A, initiate on its own, or receive, investigate, and seek to adjust all complaints of discriminatory practices prohibited by ordinances of St. Louis County. B, hold public or private hearings, promulgate rules and procedure for the conduct of hearings, make requests to the county council for issuance of subpoenas to compel attendance of witnesses at such hearings, or to require the production of books, papers, or records for examination relating to any matter under investigation, administer oaths, and take the testimony of any person under oath relating to any matter under investigation. And I think that's where I get a little bogged down myself, and maybe it would be helpful for the county counselor's office to share about any matter under investigation and what that means, and how it jives with people who might have lawsuits against the county, and where we cross into lines we're not supposed to cross into. Well, I mean, all of that is up for learning. So maybe we can spend some time doing that at the next meeting as well. Okay. Just want to keep mindful of everybody's time. Is that fair? I don't need to have a motion for that, do I? Just a request to have that on the agenda the next time, and
That's correct.
and we'll be in a learning mode next time, unless other things need to be considered. Vice Chair Hall, is there anything further that you wanted to say before we move on to the next section on old business?
No, there is not. I think Commissioner Pellegrini was trying to speak at one point, though.
Oh, please. I can't see everybody.
Oh, thank you.
So
Thank you, Commissioner Hall.
go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say for the next meeting or maybe the one after that, could we discuss how we can reach the communities that we serve? Not all of them, but at least some of them, so they can bring us agenda items rather than us picking up agenda items on our own.
Sure, sure. Let's add that. Yep. Anything further? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Old business, the Business Advisory Council, I know that Commissioner Fan had expressed an interest. I did not hear from anybody else who expressed an interest. I'm not exactly sure of the status of the council relative to their meetings. Could I ask, Mr. Murdoch, do you have any thing from your end relative to,
Yeah.
because that sits in the MWBE thing, maybe you can have.
I'm not MWVE, but
I know.
as far, I only have the equity plan to mention to the council,
Okay.
the committee today, and March 30th, that Wednesday from 6:30 to 8, we have our a welcoming plan as equity in action meeting. And I want to know from the committee, the commission here, do you want to keep that meeting purely virtual, or would you like us to try and make it a hybrid meeting, meaning people can be in the county council chambers? We had one time had an agreement with county council, but I will look into that again and make sure if the commission wants a hybrid meeting. If not, we will stick to the plan and be virtual.
I don't mind being in person, but
I think Jay wanted to say something too.
Yeah,
concerns.
I was gonna say, we're trying to work out the problem with the county council chamber is we have a lot of boards and commissions. And at this point, a lot of them are moving to hybrid style or back in person. And the most requested place to meet is the council chamber. And that is beginning to be a challenge for our IT department. So I will
Okay.
mention that we do have other spaces throughout the county government where we can utilize those spaces as well. So
Let
that's
me
still,
follow up on that. There may be a conference room option that may work for that has some
yes,
interactive capacity, Jay, but I won't commit that yet because I'm not sure the
that's
status.
one of the,
We're
yeah,
moving around a lot of bits and pieces. Okay, we'll
no,
report back on that.
that's what we're talking about with the IT team. That is the
Okay.
option
Okay.
that we are going to provide to the boards and commissions.
So you want us to look into it and follow up with each other by email?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll reach out to you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and on the BAC, if you don't mind, we'll kick it over to next month. Maybe it would be helpful if Ms. Lewis is able to join us then. That could be something that she might also have some input on and could share with folks. Yes,
Okay,
Jay?
I'll talk to her soon. I don't know her schedule, but yeah, I'll talk to her soon.
I would mention that the Business Advisory Council is one of our priorities as far as filling those seats. A lot of those council members' terms have expired, and as you know, it's a nomination process with several different organizations, and those conversations have started. So those organizations have already started to nominate their individuals. So we are looking to
Sooner
get
rather
this
than later.
sooner rather than later.
Okay, well, Commissioner Fan, if you want to continue the nomination, I'm happy to do that. If anybody else is interested, let's say, well, I'm gonna put a deadline on this. You have a week to call me. And if you don't call in a week to talk about it and perhaps raise a unique personal interest, then I'm gonna nominate Commissioner Fan to take that role. How's that?
Oh, yeah, if anyone has a really strong feeling and wants to be on it, really, I don't want to stand in your way. Um, I basically half-hearted self-nominated, and my understanding is they only meet quarterly.
Yeah.
So it won't be the time commitment that this is, for example, which, um, I think I've personally learned a lot from this process and also from our fellow county residents during the equity meetings, which for the new commissioners, I really have learned so much from fellow county residents, and I encourage you guys to make those if you can. I haven't been able to make all of them. I've made about half of them, but apparently Dr. Page, County Executive Page, was on the last one, as was the International Institute, and I was personally a bit overwhelmed that week. But yeah, so anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I've been very chatty this morning.
No, thank you. I appreciate the chat. And like I say, if anybody wants to step up, you've got a week. And if not, I want to thank Commissioner Fan for her willingness to take on an additional responsibility. So it's not on the schedule specifically, but is there anybody who wants to participate in a public forum and has some comments to make before this body, before we adjourn? I know we have some attendees, but
Chairwoman, we have 3 individuals from the public on. I'm going to start unmuting them, starting with Mark Jones. Mark Jones?
Mr. Jones, if you want to comment before this commission, can you share who you are and your zip code and share your comments? Nope, just listening in. Okay.
All right.
Anybody else?
I'm gonna move over to Reverend Phil Duvall.
Oh. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Jay. Just want to say I'm a bit concerned. I would use the word disgraceful in reference to this whistleblower bill that I really would appreciate if the entire commissioners would read what is in the bill and understand the urgency of why legislation needs to be passed. I'll say disgraceful, but I'm trying to withhold my emotions. There are people in county government need whistleblower protection. Some of these people have already been fired. Some of these people are so afraid they can't even speak up. And I'm sick and tired of just the one little area that I serve in the justice services. Maybe you people need to go back and look at all of what has happened over in justice services to get some idea of the critical severity of why whistleblower protection is needed. And I'll close with this. As a taxpayer, there's a reason why there's a line of lawsuits. And the lawsuits are going to continue to keep going into that county counselor's office. And we're doing nothing. And I say we, the collective, are doing nothing to stop it by not providing people to come in, say what they need to say, stop and address the issues within their various departments. And instead, you're devastating people's lives, not just employees, but what about their children? What about their spouses? What about their health care? Now, I'll close with this. Before every one of you ever came on this board, you did read what the description was. And every one of you have committed to serve. Now I'm only asking, please serve with some sense of urgency. Please serve with some sense of attitude. And lastly, Karen, I've known you a long time, but I'm a bit concerned with knowing how long and how hard you have fought over in that various position you once held in the community. I need to see some urgency from you as the chair before I start taking it up to the county executive, because the evidence and the words and the numbers are on our side, not on you policymakers, not on you positions of chairpersons, and surely not the administration. If you want me to prove it, I think all of you who do know me, I'll prove it. But stop having all these conversations. Do some work, please. Thank you for my time.
Thank you, Reverend Duvall. Thank you.
Lastly, we have Nazim on, but I believe he's just here as in his capacity.
Observer.
Yes, but I will unmute him to see if he has public comment. Nazim?
I'm just listening in. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Nassim. that will bring us to the end of our agenda. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Fan.
My friends in Atlanta are holding a 1-year commemorative anniversary
Oh,
of the Atlanta spa shootings on April 16th, and they asked for communities in other cities to join in. So, the location will be City Hall downtown, but if folks want to come, we'll, we will be doing a 1-year call to action and remembrance of those victims. And yeah, I don't really have much to say about it other than I feel like it should happen, and I'm not really, excited about commemorating this thing. But I don't want it to be forgotten.
could,
Yeah.
I hear you. Could I ask that you share
Yeah.
a link or something, and so we can forward that, or just share it with all of us,
Yeah,
so that we
yeah.
can have it personally noted?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else good or, sorry, Jay?
I just wanted to mention there is a typo in the adjournment section. The date is April 8th, 2022, not
Oh,
2020.
right, okay, got you.
Apologize.
See that, okay. Next meeting is Friday, April 8th, so noted, 2022. And hearing nothing further from anybody? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
I'll second that motion, and thank you all for a very substantive meeting. Appreciate the comments all around. I hope you all have a good and safe weekend, and if not, we'll see you in April before. Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
See everyone.
Bye, everyone.